Hello, loyal listeners of the Improve English Daily podcast. How are you today? I hope you are all well. I'm George, as usual, will accompany you with a casual but useful chat. Well, in this episode, we will discuss a topic that I think is super important, especially for those of us who live in this era of globalization: how to speak English confidently. And not only that, today I'm not alone, you know. I have a special guest, a cool woman who has a unique and interesting experience learning English. Please welcome Lucy.
Hi, George. Hi to my fellow listeners of this podcast, too. It's so nice to be able to chat here with you.
Wow, we're the ones who are happier to have you. Lucy, before we get into the main topic, maybe you can get to know our listeners a little first.
Okay. So my name is Lucy. I live in Jakarta, and I work as a digital marketer. Speaking of English, I started studying seriously when I was in college, because at that time I participated in an exchange program to Australia. Well, from that experience I increasingly understand the importance of being able to speak English fluently, especially if we want to develop in the world of work, or just travel abroad.
Wow, that's really cool, Lucy. The exchange experience must have had many challenges, right?
That's right, George. Especially when I first arrived there. I honestly was insecure about speaking English. But over time I learned how to get over that fear. Now, I'm curious, George, how did you learn English yourself?
I'm more of an autodidact, Lucy. I started with small things, like watching movies without subtitles, listening to songs, and reading English books. But to be honest, I also used to experience the fear of being wrong.
Well, that's it, I totally agree. Fear of saying the wrong thing is like our biggest enemy, right? In your opinion, how do we get rid of that fear?
From my experience, first of all, we have to change our mindset. Mistakes are not failures, but part of the learning process. I always tell myself, it's better to be wrong now than to never try at all.
That's right. But sometimes when we're in front of strangers, it feels like all the grammar we've learned suddenly disappears.
Yeah, that's like a common disease. But actually, native people don't care about our grammar. They focus more on the message we convey.
That's true. Oh, by the way, do you have any practical tips for fellow listeners so they can start speaking English without fear?
Of course there is, Lucy. First, start with something simple. For example, try talking to yourself in front of a mirror or recording your voice. Listen to how you pronounce it, and if there's something wrong, fix it.
Wow. I used to talk in front of a mirror a lot when preparing for interviews. Turns out it's effective.
Now, second, find a partner to practice with. It doesn't have to be a native speaker. A friend who is also learning together is also great. Sometimes, studying together is more fun and less stressful.
Agreed. I also used to often ask friends to practice via chat or video call. By the way, George, do you think it's important to have a perfect accent?
In my opinion, an accent doesn't need to be perfect, as long as we can be clear and others understand what we say. But if you want to practice your accent, that's also good as an addition.
So the point is to focus more on communication, right?
Exactly. Our main goal is to be able to chat, exchange ideas, and understand each other. The accent is just a complement.
George, I want to ask you something. There are so many applications for learning English now, like Duolingo, Memrise, or even YouTube. In your opinion, how effective is learning through applications?
Wow, the application is an amazing tool. But don't just rely on the application. Use it as a complement, while direct practice remains the main thing.
Very noted. Do you have any funny experiences while learning English?
Of course. I once talked to a foreign tourist in Bali. I said, "I will call you back," when I meant, "I will come back." The tourist laughed, and I only realized the mistake after he explained it.
That's so funny. But I agree, from moments like that we learn faster.
Exactly. So, don't be afraid to make mistakes. my fellow listeners. From mistakes, we can learn.
George, do you think it's important to learn formal English first, like grammar and tenses, before you start speaking?
I think learning grammar is important, but don't let it make you overthink when you speak. Grammar is like a map, but the real journey is when you speak.
Wow, I like that analogy. But sometimes I hear people say that watching movies or dramas without subtitles is the best way to learn. Do you agree?
Totally agree. But in my opinion, don't immediately take the one without subtitles if you're still a beginner. Start with subtitles first, then slowly move to English subtitles, and finally without subtitles. Progress is important.
Oh, that makes sense. I also used to watch with subtitles, then gradually tried English subtitles. And now when I watch without subtitles, it feels like an achievement.
That's it. It feels satisfying, right? Especially if we suddenly understand their slang or jokes without having to think for long. That's proof that our listening has leveled up.
Yes, and for me, watching movies is not only to learn a language, but also to understand their culture. Sometimes from there, we understand the context of certain words or expressions.
That's right, Lucy. Because learning a language is not just about words, but also about culture and ways of thinking. If we understand their culture, we also become more confident when chatting.
Talking about culture, I remember when I was in Australia, I was confused by their habit of saying, "How are you?" But it turned out to be just a normal greeting.
So many people misunderstand that, even though the answer is simple. Good, thanks. How about you? It's like they're just making small talk, not asking how you are.
Yes, that's right. I was also overthinking what to answer. But after knowing this, I became more relaxed. So what about you? Did you have a funny or strange experience when you first chatted with a foreigner?
Oh, there is. At that time, I was in Singapore when a tourist asked me for directions. Because I was nervous, I said left when I meant right. We were both confused, then he laughed and said, "Are you sure?" Then I realized my mistake.
That's hilarious. But the good thing is they don't get mad. Foreigners are usually more patient.
That's right. Most of them understand when we're studying. They often encourage us. So my fellow listeners, don't be shy to start a conversation.
Well, that's it. I totally agree, George. The point is we have to be brave first. If we are brave, the skill will follow. And don't forget, enjoy the process. Language is something alive. So the more we use it, the more fluent we will become.
Absolutely agree, Lucy. And it seems like our chat today is full of inspiration and useful tips for our listeners. I want to say thank you very much to Lucy for taking the time to chat on our podcast today.
You're welcome, George. I'm also really happy to be able to share my experiences here. Hopefully, our tips and stories are useful for my friends who are learning English.
It must be very useful, Lucy. Okay, listeners, that's it for this episode of the Casual Chat Podcast. Don't forget to continue to support this podcast by following, sharing, and rating it on your favorite platforms. And if you have stories or tips about learning English, don't hesitate to share them with us on social media.
That's right. Don't forget to keep up the spirit of learning. And don't be afraid of making mistakes. Practice makes perfect.
See you on the next episode, friends. See you and stay motivated. Bye-bye. Accompany. Accompany means to go somewhere with someone as a companion or to be present with something as an addition or support. Example: I will accompany you to the meeting tomorrow. Fellow. Fellow means a person in the same position, involved in the same activity, or sharing a similar interest. Example: she enjoys spending time with her fellow students in the library. Rely. Rely means to depend on or trust someone or something for support or help. Example: he doesn't rely on anyone, preferring to solve problems on his own. Hilarious. Hilarious means very funny or causing a lot of laughter. Example: we watched a hilarious movie last night, and I couldn't stop laughing. Brave. Brave means showing courage, especially when facing danger or difficulty. Example: she was brave enough to speak up in front of the whole class.
Thank you for watching. To improve your English skills, don't forget to practice every day. Don't forget to click like, subscribe, and comment.